Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I am JB and joining with me today is the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Mark Marsh.
Hello, everybody. I'm back.
So we've spoken a little bit in the past about live action, Scooby-Doo, and also if Scooby-Doo should return to the cinemas. So here's a kind of lead into that. If they were to recast a member of Mystery Inc., let's focus on Daphne this time. And maybe if we ever do this again, we can do, one for Shaggy and Velma and all of the other members of Mystery Inc. But
Yeah.
on Daphne this time, who do you think that they should cast as Daphne? And maybe like a top five fan cast?
Oh God. So that's what, as a live action movie or a
Yeah.
series?
Live action Daphne.
I was trying to figure out because if they're going to do a live action movie, it has to be an actress that everyone knows
Mhm.
because it can't just be someone from a TV show. But I don't know. It's because Velma's more of a no. Velma's more of a nerdy, so it's easy to find Velma. But with Daphne, she's more. I come from a rich family. I'm that kind of rich snobby girl kind of like inherited. So it's like really hard to figure out. I'm not good with names, but it's just like what was it? That Wednesday show. Not
Wednesday.
not the actress who plays Wednesday, his roommate friend.
Oh, is it Emma Myers or Emma Sinclair? I'm getting mixed up. I think
Yeah,
the character name is Enid Sinclair, but her actress name is Emma Myers. Oh,
because if you
let me go.
obviously in the Wednesday show doesn't look like a Daphne, but she has a structure and the attitude of Daphne. So if you think like if you give her Daphne's outfit, change the hair color, I see it a kind of a Daphne in there.
I like that a lot. That's never someone that I considered. In hindsight, I probably should have because, like
Because
you mentioned, Wednesday, such a big show now, a big name that'll draw people to the Scooby-Doo project.
yeah,
That's good.
take one from there. But it's like I'm always the worst with names. I'm always good with faces. But when it comes to movies, I remember their movie name more than anything. Like Matthew, I always call him Shaggy because that's the Shaggy that I know. He still has that Shaggy, even though I watched him in Hacker way before Scooby-Doo. I just remember him like that. Or have you? Do you keep up with the Mystery Incorporated YouTube channel?
I tried to. They've not done an update for a
They
while,
haven't done
but
an update, but they've probably got the perfect cast to play live action versions of the gang. So I feel like a second pick would be you have already. I know you want to go over each topic of like each gang member, but those there, like if Warner Bros. Made it into an official show, you already got the Mystery Inc. gang because
yeah,
I see them as Daphne, Velma, Fred, and Scooby and Shaggy as they fit those roles perfectly because it matches the show that we brought up in. That's like another pick of all five. Because I watched them, I was like, they've actually captured everyone exactly how they should be, which is weird because normally there'd be some mistakes. Like Shaggy is literally they also made him not as scruffy as like the hippie vibe one, but more modern if he was going to be in this type era bit. And then the same with Fred being the leader, but also relying on Velma's brains. And they always say Daphne is a damsel in distress, but I don't know. It's normally Shaggy who's the one that gets lured away and brings the ghost in that. It's when people say Daphne's the damsel in distress. I don't think in the entire show I've seen her being kidnapped by the ghost. It's mostly Shaggy and Scooby are used as bait to lure the ghost. So if anything, Shaggy and Scooby are the damsels in distress.
yeah, a little
It's,
bit, a little bit, and
it's,
they even get trapped by the
yeah, they
traps,
do.
like
It's like
in many
it's like they're the
cases.
damsels in distress. It's why the first Scooby Doo movie had me in a confusion because I had to rewatch the show. So is she a damsel in distress? I don't see it because it's mostly Shaggy and Scooby who's the damsel. I don't
Yeah.
think there's a lot of film actors that can pull off Daphne. I think the one from Wednesday is probably the better one that I watched because I haven't watched really a lot of other shows to catch up on.
I mean, that's a good number five. I've got to
Because
say that is a good number
it
five.
does. I think Wednesday actor as well. She could probably play like Velma.
Hmm.
She's known for playing different roles. But I find it weird in the Wednesday series that she doesn't blink.
Yeah, that's a bit
I'm just
unsettling.
like, I thought it was all just CGI shit they're thrown in there because I thought there's no way she cannot go for a whole scene without blinking. But behind the scenes and post documentaries, she just doesn't blink. I'm like, that's mad respect committed to her role.
Hmm.
But I don't think she'll be good for Daphne because Daphne has to be more friendlier, fake smile, like put it on, rich
Yeah, the people
background,
person, as
sorority
um
girl.
as Simon Cowell said in Scoob, literally the people person, which is funny. I mean, my criteria was very similar to yours. Like, I think I factored likelihood into it, like how likely they are to accept the role and to do it justice. Star power is a big one because as much as I want to say the right person, the best actor should get the best job, there is also an element of if we want to see Scooby-Doo succeed, there's going to be a big name to draw people in and stuff like that. And
Yeah, it's
obviously,
what.
like, don't just
Yeah,
have a really famous person that can't act, like, find a nice draw between the two, but also acting ability. I think age is an interesting one because there's a lot of 18-year-old actors that you could cast, but then that's defining the rest of the gang, that's defining the story. And equally, there's 40, 50-year-olds who could be a Daphne, but then that's obviously going to impact the rest of the gang, and then you're dealing with a whole different story as well. So I think age isn't something that I focus in on a lot, but I have like kind of gone with I know that that would lead to other gang members being of that age or telling that certain type of story. And also look as well. So Daphne, I think an important part of her feature is obviously the red hair. But that being said, I don't think we've ever had, unless like you say, the YouTube Jessica Chancellor Daphne is a natural redhead. I don't think we've ever had a natural redhead as Daphne before, so I don't mind casting a brunette and dyeing their hair or anything like that.
yeah.
But
I feel like mostly trying to find a natural brunette is like really hard as an actress because they mostly would always opt for dark head or just blonde.
mm,
Is and most of them, if they are brunette, they will dye their hair black or blonde because it mostly fits the role. It's like I think it's easier on the consumer's eyes, the audience watching.
yeah, I
So there's not
agree.
a lot of
I
colors
agree.
being involved.
But I guess my number five, and this is so low down just because I think it's too obvious, if that makes sense. It just seems too safe. And that's Sadie Sink. I think natural redhead. She played Max on in Stranger Things, if you're familiar with that.
Yes,
So I don't know how old she
I haven't seen
is.
what she looks like now
Yeah,
because
well,
obviously that was.
let's see. Sadie
I think.
Sink. She's 21 years old, so we could be telling. I mean, she can
Really?
do, yeah, high school. We could have a high school Scooby story. We could have a college university Scooby story.
I'm looking at the most recent ones that have been posted of her.
Mm.
Not gonna lie, she could actually pull off the Daphne.
Yeah, I think she'd be really good. And I know it sounds harsh putting her so low, but I mean top five out of all the actresses in the world isn't bad. And I just think it's too obvious, but I can't deny if she is cast, I think she'd be perfect. And there's so many Stranger Things fans. She's also gonna be a huge draw for people. Like she'll get she'll get an audience to watch. She'll captivate audiences. We
She's
know she
already
can
got
act.
like a big fan base. I think
Yeah,
I forget what her following is on Instagram, but
she looks
I
the
think it's over
part.
5 million.
It wouldn't surprise me. I think she's many people's favorite character.
That's where I remember from. She was in The Whale. I
Oh,
was watching and I was like,
26.5 million followers on Instagram. If that's
she
not
was.
a draw, I don't know what is.
I was watching The Whale and I got very confused. I hate when I see people in shows that are like they look familiar. I don't know where they're from, but it's really annoying because it stays in mind the entire film.
Yeah,
She was the one who
so
played Ellie in like The Whale. Okay, I gotta watch that film again now with these.
So, what would your number 4 pick be? And again, like if you don't know their names, like I can quickly like it's gonna be quite a research heavy episode, I think. Like that we have to kind of like
I
look up
know
and
it's
refresh.
kind of a hard one to choose, really, because I'm not trying to think of stuff that I've recently watched because I watched like old stuff recently. So it's like trying to watch everything concurrent. It's one of those hard ones trying to because mostly it's going to be someone who hasn't appeared in a really big film that makes the big impact. Because when Stranger Things out, no one knew who Sandy was prior to that. Like she's done films, but no one really remembers her as she is from the Stranger Things show. Like she's
Yeah.
done some other good movies, don't get me wrong, but the first thing that twigs to people is, oh, she's the girl from Stranger Things. And I think that's what she's going to be known for a very long time is the girl from Stranger Things.
I guess unless she does Daphne. So
I'm not. I'm trying to figure out who's going to play them in live action based on. It's going to be a hard one because, like you said, it's about age as well. Are we doing them as young adults or are they going to be mid-20s, 30 characters in the gang? Because originally they're teens, so they're just under 20 in the original show, but there's not a lot of actors around there that could probably pull off the role or want to do it because most actors want to do movie roles rather than live action series or a one-off movie role. Like look at the Kim Possible one on Disney. That's another one that would be probably good for Daphne, but not Velma. Who played her?
so that would be a good number 4. Let's actually find that out.
Yeah, 2019 film.
See, you're thinking about people that like I thought this video would be us crossing over quite a lot.
I've tried to
That then
base it on no, I'm
2019.
2019 film. I searched up the 2020 2002 one.
Sadie Stanley.
Sadie Stanley.
Oh, I see that. 21 years old.
See, she'd be perfect either playing Velma or Daphne.
177,000 on Instagram. But that's still a pretty big number. And obviously, like it's not all about star power. If you pair, Sadie Stanley up with another person, like any one of the gang could be like someone that's blown up. You know what? Sadie Stanley is a really good choice. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. So my number 4, and this is kind of interesting because we've crossed over a little bit, but we haven't. I actually did put Jenna Ortega, who is Wednesday, as my number 4. But the more I thought about it, I think she would be the perfect Velma. And so actually, because she's a massive name, so many people will just watch things because she's in it. And she always elevates the project she's in. So I thought if Jenna Ortega is in your Scooby-Doo movie, we're gonna have a massive hit on our hands. But I think you were right in what you were saying, and I'm actually gonna change mine from Jenna Ortega to Emma Myers, who you were saying. I can't believe I didn't connect that. So yeah, but then I guess my only drawback with that point is I don't think they would cast Jenna Ortega Velma and Emma Myers Daphne because obviously there's that crossover. People
Yeah.
might be a bit too distracted, but I mean, it's the duo to pull it off if anyone is to. So I would actually fraud.
Because
I think
I
Jenna
think it's
Ortega would be
easier
good. Emma
picking
Myers.
Fred and Shaggy because there's so many different male actors that can look and pull off the character. But I feel like the characters of Velma and Daphne are a lot more harder to pull off because of what those characters are. Like Velma's very smart and nerdy, so she's gonna have that intelligence up, and you also gotta look like Velma as well, like look like a nerd. But also as Daphne, you gotta look like you're an everyday princess
Yeah.
and also a people person, but also have the attitude like you're from a
I mean,
rich
that's why I
perspective.
thought Jenna could
It's
do
a lot
both
more
because she's
harder.
quite nerdy and reserved in Wednesday. But then if you look at her on like the red carpet or something, she's definitely got a bit of fashionista about her. And almost I was think people would think that that would be a bit wasted to cast her and then cut her hair all short, have her have the sweater on. But then people love Linda Cardellini, and arguably she looks nothing like, in terms of her looks, Velma, but they do her up so well to the
Yeah,
point where
because
she's perfect as
there's
in the
also
role.
actors that I want to at least try to play for roles, but they're obviously older now. Like Tom Felton, who played Malfoy in Harry Potter,
Mm.
he could be good as one of the male actors. Like he'd be either playing Fred as a leading role or Shaggy.
You could do. I mean, it's interesting. It is interesting, but I love that. So I want Jenna Ortega in anything Scooby. That could be Daphne, that could be Velma, but I think Emma Myers is the better number 4. So I'll alter that a bit. I guess we go to number 3 now. Do you have a third choice that you can kind of lean into
Nah,
a bit? Because I've got to be honest, the last 2 you've mentioned have actually been bangers, like better than my list, I think, all in all.
yeah, because some what was it? I have to bring up this because I can't remember the name. I think they were on Legends of Tomorrow. I'm still also trying to figure out their correct age as well. 'Cause I feel like if they're too old, they're not going to pull it off regardless.
I mean, age, I
so
don't think
so
really
maybe it
really
was like
matters that
five
much.
maybe it was like 5 or 7 years ago. Maybe the person who played Sarah Lance would have been good as one of the female roles. But I feel like she's over the age. I'm not saying she's looked older now. I'm just saying
Yeah.
like she would have to like make her appearance look much more younger. But many adults do play kid roles in certain high school teen movies, like
Ooh.
with Smallville, which was another good one.
So that's Katie Lotz. You know, she's only 36, and I
Yeah,
guess
that's what I'm
if you're
saying.
gonna do a first Scooby-Doo, a lot of people would want it to be high school or college. But I mean, when you think about it, they could almost, and I'm not saying they should, but do a spiritual successor to maybe Monsters Unleashed. So
Yeah,
they're a bit into their career. Maybe it's a bit like the start of Trick or Treat, where maybe they formed Mystery Inc. 10 years ago and then got a bit jaded with all the unmaskings and almost a Zombie Island type story at this point. So I think Katie Lutz would still be pretty good, you know.
she could still probably pull it off. Still,
I think you're right.
because she's well known. She's been in the DC already
2.4 million followers.
since the Arrow. And that's when I first saw her, so she looked well young back then.
And also, I think didn't Legends of Tomorrow semi recently get cancelled and like people were trying to save it. So
Yeah,
the next project she commits herself to will have a lot of goodwill towards it. All of the Legends of Tomorrow fans will go to support it.
yeah, 2012 she was in the Arrow. That's how come I remember her face from way back then. But obviously she's older now because that was like 10 years ago. So at the
That's a
time
good
she was
choice.
like 20 something. So yeah.
That is a very, very nice choice. So my number 3, and this is another one where I'm almost having second thoughts in a way, but I think they could do it. So I think my third choice would be Grace Caroline Curry, who I don't know if you're familiar with her. She's in Shazam. She was in Annabelle Creation. She was Grace Fulton in Shazam 1. She played the sister, Mary Marvel, Mary Bromfield.
What in the actual movie?
Yeah, in Shazam.
What was her name?
Grace Caroline Curry.
Okay.
So she's 26 years old, which I think is a nice middle ground between some of the names that we've had earlier, and obviously, Katie Lotz.
I would have thought you would have gone with Rachel, to be fair. That
Rachel.
would have been my pick. Well,
Which
she
one's
was she was in Fear of the Gods.
Oh, see, Rachel, you know what? See, that's another thing. And you see you're actually on the ball with this
That
one.
could
You
have
play
been a better.
because I'm thinking Grace Caroline Curry. I wanted her in the role because she was great in the Shazam movies, probably the best part of Shazam 2. And also, she's got the looks for a Daphne. If they dyed her hair, she's how I imagined a live action Daphne would be. But
Yeah,
then
because
I got thinking, she's very similar in a way to how Linda Cardellini was before the 2002 movie. So I was thinking, for all I like Grace Caroline Curry and I'd love her to be Daphne, if they want to recapture the feeling of Linda Cardellini, I would say Grace Curry is probably the best person to do that. So for all she's my number 3 spot in the Daphne list, if we were to do a Velma one, I think we could see that shifting a bit. But it's so weird. I think because the cast a very attractive person to play Velma in the 2002 movies, it synced into my head that really a Daphne could be a Velma and a Velma could be a Daphne in many
Yeah,
ways. Like I'm not
because
thinking who's a nerd.
Rachel could pull off either a Daphne or a Velma because she has that, I don't know, different personality between her. Because she's only 22, weirdly enough.
And Velma's meant to be the young one, really.
Yeah, and Shaggy is meant to be the oldest one.
So I would keep Grace Curry on the list, but I think definitely lower down for
My
Daphne.
third one has to be her then, Rachel.
Really? Oh, you know what? I need to. Is it Rachel Ziegler? Ziegler?
Yeah, yeah.
Rachel Ziegler. Oh, she could be a Daphne. And I think she's very popular in Shazam too.
Oh,
Like
and
people
she's
like the best
starring in
parts
Snow
were
White in 2024.
Rachel, the best parts were Grace. Oh, she's a rising star as well. She's gonna be like the main lead actress in the new Hunger Games movie. So a draw. You know what? See, it's so weird. I had time. Well, and I know that I gave you a bit of preparation time as well, but obviously I'm always thinking about live action Daphne's. I had so much time to come up with a list, and I think you've come up with a better list so far. I'm going to be
Because
honest.
I'm based on like movies that are current out because you're gonna need people that people know in order to make any type of profit. Because if you hear unheard name actress, people might think never heard of them before.
Yeah.
But if you heard of something, and oh, they were in Shazam, or oh, she played Kim Possible in the live action movie, or Stranger Things,
I mean,
then
that's the reality
people,
of it, really. Like, we can have the best actors in the world, but I think without a draw, it's going to be like all the gear, no idea type thing. Maybe it'll become a cult classic in 20
yeah,
years. But for Scooby fans, we want it to do well, you know?
because even High School Musical had probably the perfect set of who you could choose to be the gang, but that was way back in 2006.
Yeah, like
I
literally
doubt
Zac
any of them.
Efron returning as
Yeah,
Fred.
he
Ashley
looks so different
Tisdale,
now. Have you seen what he
Daphne.
looks like? He like I
Not
would.
recently.
He's a way lot more different. He's got like I swear he's had work done because he's more chiseled.
Ooh, I wouldn't mind getting a bit chiseled. But like Rachel as a third choice is really good from your part, and I think she's got all the criteria that we need. I think looks wise, I mean, I know we've not mentioned this, and I'm actually quite proud of us for not doing, but I think it's become quite coded in other media that I think I really only thought primarily about white Caucasian actresses for Daphne, just because it's always been Velma. That gets a bit tanned and a bit race swapped as time goes on. So
Yeah,
I'm a bit more like if we were doing a Velma list, Rachel Zegler would probably be instantly in my mind. But whenever I think about Daphne, I'm almost thinking, oh, this person, that person. So I love that. And you know what? If Rachel Zegler was the next Daphne, I'd be very happy. And my number two, then, because you gave me your number three, I kind of couldn't decide between them. So one of them is Samantha de Benedette, and the other one is Jessica Chancellor, who, of
oh,
course,
much different
was
than my
who was in the YouTube Mystery Incorporated series. And the only reason why they're not number one really is in both instances, if Samantha was cast as Daphne, if Jessica was cancelled as done as Daphne, it would probably mean that they would not make any more episodes of the online Mystery Incorporated. And so I'm thinking to myself, I think Jessica Chancellor is the perfect Daphne, but if like putting her in a Warner Brothers cinematic release means that we lose the edgier Scooby as well, I don't kind of want that. I think edgy Scooby on YouTube is what someone like me that's a bit on not older, but I'd like a bit more of a mature Scooby-Doo story done right, and I think that's what they're doing. But I'd also like a spiritual successor to the DTVs, to the live action movies back in the day. to come out now. So I think they only really miss out on the top spot because I don't want the YouTube series to go away. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
my number 2 spot. And obviously, I don't know what audience they would bring. In terms of like us, we would go instantly. But in terms of, Joe Average shopping at Waitrose every Saturday, like everyday guy, he plays pool with his friends on the weekends, he goes fishing with his slightly racist uncle, like, you know what I mean? Like average guy, any guy in the world. I don't know how much they would be there for that.
So I got my second and first pick, and I kept bouncing between the two
Oh,
because
I guess second, because I've got one left for my top one.
I just like I kept placing them as first and second. I couldn't decide
Oh,
between them
really?
who was at the
Oh,
first spot
that's interesting.
because they're both from films that I love. I was like, okay, so I'm just gonna go with the second one, and we can see if it was a change of layer. So, ever seen the Uncharted movie,
Uncharted.
2022?
You
Came
know
out last
what?
year.
I did, yeah, with Tom Hollander.
Sophia Ali,
Uncharted.
who I think was the love interest in that film, or it's Tom Holland character double crosses her.
Yeah.
Like she just has that. She's 27, so she can still pull it off.
I think she's the first one we've had that I think is a Daphne definitively versus
Yeah,
someone that could also be a Velma. I don't see her as Velma, but she is very Daphne. Oh,
because I was watching Uncharted yesterday. I was like, she could be good as either one of the two, but where do I place her?
she's
Because
posted
I'm
some
never
very
good with
interesting
names.
things
I
on
just remember them
Instagram.
from the shows. It's just researching the shows that I've watched. I was like, you'd be surprised with my first slot.
She's posted something I'm not quite sure is allowed to be on Instagram,
What's
but
she
it's
post?
I don't want to mention it. It's I was just doing research. I was like, oh gosh, okay.
There's our Instagram.
Sophia Ali Tally. She's done it as Sophia Tally, but I think I just found it typing in Sophia Ali. That's enough. That's enough research for me, though. I'm a married man. You know what I mean? Though I can't be doing that. But it's interesting. It's interesting. So I guess when you're ready, I'll give you my number 1 spot.
I'm ready. I wonder if we got the same.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But my first one is Karen Gillan. Probably a bit older. I think she's about 36 now. But again, she doesn't
10
look
10 years older than the one I
old.
chose.
Oh, really? Oh, gosh. Well, she doesn't look old.
I tried to keep it below 30
Yeah.
if possible, if I could.
Yeah. But also, she's become such a big name now. Like, we know she can act. Like, she came up on Doctor Who and now is in Guardians of the Galaxy, the third one literally out today. And now, because James Gunn has said this is the last movie with all these Guardians, we know that she's got a free schedule in terms of the committed projects. And also, we know that she's got a good relationship with James Gunn now, who is the guy at DC, the guy at Warner Brothers by proxy, then by that regard. I think he's one of the highest ranked people at Warner Brothers right now. And she said in an interview recently that she wants to play Poison Ivy in a live action movie. So she's game to do more stuff with Warner Brothers. She's got a free schedule. She's a natural redhead. She can act. A big name now.
What was
That's
her
why
name
I was
again?
thinking
Karen
Karen Gillan.
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 Oh, she played one of the
Amy
player
Pond.
Amy Pond in Doctor
Yeah,
Who.
yeah. Now maybe back then she would have been a better choice, but I was feeling it. I was really feeling it. And I guess number 1 spot,
She doesn't look 36 or
no,
35.
no, she doesn't at all. And so I was just thinking all my criteria that I'd set up, acting ability, star power, likelihood, look, it all fits in. And so that's the conclusion that I got to. But again, if I was to then make another list like under 20s, under 30s, over 40s for a different story, it could be a different thing. But in terms of general live action Daphne's, she was my number 1 spot. What about you?
Well, my one, I hope I can say her name right. I always struggle with this one, but it's Tom Holland's girlfriend, Zendaya.
Ooh. See, that surprises me, you know.
'Cause she's the right height that she could pull it off, and she has the proper like hair as well. It could be braided in like any kind of style.
Oh, you're right. See, I was kind of a bit like, I would never have thought about her, and I didn't really see it when you said it because literally only know her from Spider-Man, and there she's quite tomboy-like. She's a bit rough and ready, whereas Daphne is almost the opposite of that. I mean, she has that kind of rough
If you watch
fighting
The Greatest
side.
Showman, she's in that.
Yeah, I saw that ages ago.
Just
I might have to refresh.
yeah. So
And a
and she
huge
was
name
also
as
in
well.
yeah, so it's a huge name. I she was in Dune as well, but I didn't really like Dune. It
The
was
question is, would we have a
questionable.
non-redhead Daphne then? Because she can dye her
I
hair, but then if
you
MJ
can
is
dye
a
her
redheaded
hair.
character, she never dyed her hair for MJ.
I think that's for like the maybe for the show she might put on a wig or that or dye it, but even if it wasn't dyed, I still would prefer
Hmm,
as a Daphne. She's got the perfect height to play both if needed to be.
that is interesting. See, based on Spider-Man, I didn't see it, but I need to be more familiar
But
with her
if you look
work.
at other
And from
work in that,
photos, she's definitely got the fashionista, glamorous side down, big name. She can act. Oh, and can she sing as well? That'd be a bonus. Probably irrelevant for the Daphne conversation, but a bonus.
yeah, because I people thought Tom Holland would never pull off um, Nathan Drake from Uncharted, but he kind of pulled off the young Drake. So that's when I started looking to other films now. She does a lot of others, but it's her hair as well, like proper Daphne hair, which blew me off thinking she could pull it off.
I like that. I like that. I mean, you know what? I think we've both come up with some
I
really good
think some people are
contenders
so
there.
used to her being in Spider Man that
Yeah,
people are so
yeah.
used to her rough, tough
Yeah,
attitude.
that was me. That was very much mine. But then looking at that, yeah, like I
Yeah,
definitely
because I
see
then
what you're
have to look
saying.
at her. So it just shows that she can act. So I feel like she could probably better pull off the Daphne role if it was going to go that way. But it's yeah, it took a while to find my number one spot. It's just like I had to pick people, people who people knew already.
Mm. And I think we've done a really good job. I think really, if Warner Brothers are looking to do another live action movie, just watch this video because I think any of the names you've mentioned today
Yeah,
would be good Daphnes.
because as well, like if it was a TV show, then we would have more choices because we could choose actors people have never heard
Yeah,
of
yeah.
to give them their voice. But all these actors, like for movies, you really need a platform to promote it because that's where most of the revenue comes from. A show is what builds your audience, but a movie, you need the audience to have the foundation. And she's got a lot of followers as well. I forget how many, but it grows every single day.
It's
And
definitely
in
around
a
there.
way, if she needed to, she could probably pull off Thelma if there was an option.
Yeah, because he's got that sarcastic side, which even Velma had way back in like the new Scooby-Doo movies and stuff, a bit of that. And again, Mystery Incorporated, she was quite, back and forward with a dialogue. So I do like that. Now, I guess in terms of the Daphne fan cast, do you have anything else to add? Not necessarily a name, but like, is there something for you that the next Daphne needs to have in terms of what she would bring to the role?
I just hope they don't make Daphne the way that the Velma series made Daphne because it didn't feel the natural Daphne that we knew. Because Daphne, if you look at Daphne's parents, they are the richest. So she does have that attitude of getting anything she wants. as you could tell by her style. So as long as they keep the traits of what Daphne's meant to be, even the Scooby-Doo movie, um, they made the live action Daphne as accurate as they could to the show, except for making her a damsel in distress. I don't think Daphne is a damsel in distress because if you look at all the episodes in that, she has never been captured and held hostage by a ghost. It's mostly Shaggy and Scooby are the damsels because they're used as bait every single time. So seeing that as just like that doesn't make sense why the ghost grabbed Daphne when they added a bit of adult humor in there,
Yeah.
which I didn't pick up on until later on. I was like thinking, gee, they threw in a bit of adult humor there.
Yeah, like
But
same, same.
did you see the unreleased extended cut of the intro that was
Was
leaked
that when
for
it
the Scooby
was
movie?
animated, the animated one?
Yeah, animated bit that led up to the factory bit. Because I've always wondered how they got to that point, and then the animated bit made sense. I'm like, why didn't they include that in? Because it filled in some filler for me.
Yeah, they should have kept that in. They 100% should have. Like, I kind of understand why they cut it out for time, but then it's like, I mean, it wasn't a long movie. I mean, by today's standards, you sat in the cinema for like 2.5 hours. This would only have been like an hour 25 minutes, I think,
Yeah,
with that intro. So I don't think that would be too bad. I wanted to keep it in. I'd even buy the DVD again if it was just the same, but with that edited in the start.
yeah, because
That's
I've got the snapback DVD, which has all that nice artwork. Because the snapback ones mostly are cardboard, so it
yeah.
had all the nice little artwork going alongside. But I didn't notice at the time when I brought mine from Kex. I thought, oh yes, Scooby in the movie. It's got Scooby in the movie 2 in there. They gave me the wrong
Oh,
disc.
dare they? That's actually a sin. Oh,
I just
well,
brought it in
I'd
my
get my money back.
collection because I didn't need to watch it because I was there. I should have checked at the time. But about a year later, when I looked at it and I was opening up, thinking I should probably give these a clean now. Like, did I put the wrong disc in here? So I checked all my other boxes. I was like, no, they gave me the wrong disc.
No, I'd complain, but I guess that wraps up this conversation. It's been an absolute pleasure to collab with you again, and hopefully we can do this some more
Yeah,
time. So, Mark, for the people watching, where can they find you on the internet?
you can find me over on my YouTube channel at Mark Marsh and also at Twitter, which I think it's Luigi is the at handle. Those are the two main socials that I use. I also use Instagram, but I rarely post on there now. So if you want to catch up to me and ask me questions, you can do so on my YouTube channel community page or on Twitter,
I'll
which
be sure.
I do respond back to a lot of messages on Instagram, but I don't post.
Oh, really? That's interesting. That's interesting. So I'll leave that in the description down below then for people that are able to do that. And again, for people watching, if you want to keep up with what we're doing, I'll put the link tree in the description down below as well. So if you do want to see more content like this, then please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.